Hal Runkel is with us. He's got a book, Screamfree Parenting, and does this sound like it's possible? Hal says, sure is. Thank you so much, Hal, for being with us.
Thanks
Good to see you again. Hal was on the show about a year ago, and I found this information really interesting because you look at the title and you think, yeah, right, Hal?
Yeah, right.
And I bet you have a lot of people coming up to you in the airports or
like
whatnot.
Sweat-free jogging.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's impossible.
No pain, no gain. Okay, so what do you mean by this philosophy?
Scream-free parenting. It really comes down to we're so concerned about our kids' behavior that we lose sight of our own.
Okay.
And the more I try to control my kids, the more out of control they become. And the more out of control I become in the process. And what happens, we were just talking, what happens is I focus on so many things that are out of my control.
Okay.
Scream-free parenting returns the focus to myself, saying, you know what? It's not about what I can do to get my kids to behave. It's about how do I want to behave, even if my kids don't, especially if they don't. And that's why parenting is not about kids. It's about parents.
Let the consequences do the screaming.
Well,
that's huge, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh.
Because I think it does, yeah.
Our kids make choices, and there are natural, logical consequences for their choices, but we don't like to watch them suffer. And we don't like, it takes time out of our schedule to actually enforce that.
Right.
So I'd rather just yell, okay, I'm not going to tell you again, which everybody in the house knows is a clear lie because you're right, you're going to say it again, right? Or we say, how many times am I going to tell you? Just once I want to hear a kid say, I don't know, how many? Why are you asking me that question? Instead,
or because I said so. We talked about that one.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, you know what? It's silly for me to tell my son, you can't talk to me that way. When he's thinking, I just did. I can talk to you like that all I want, unless I put duct tape over his mouth, which I'm tempted to do. But what I can say is you can't talk like that to me without there being consequences.
Gotcha.
So if you do, then you're going to lose your Game Boy for 2 days.
Oh, I see.
Now the choice is up to you. And what that teaches him is to become responsible for his own actions rather than me feeling responsible for getting them to behave all the time.
So it's like putting the ball back in their court every single time.
Exactly. Your kid announces, a toddler announces, I'm bored. What's the typical response? How can you be bored with all those toys upstairs?
All the things that we
exactly.
have.
You know what's boring? Working my job all day to give you those toys. Or we take responsibility for them. You could do this, you could do this, you could call Johnny, whatever. Instead, you're bored, really. That stinks. I hate it when I'm bored. So what are you going to do about it? Putting it on them. Putting it on
and
them.
obviously, there are different applications for different age groups.
Of course,
I mean, you're not going to say these things to, a 1-year-old or whatever who can't talk. So that's part of the book. I mean, you're looking at all different, and not necessarily scenarios. He was just talking about how I was saying these are just principles, but then you would apply differently to the different
Exactly.
ages.
It's not a series of techniques to bring yourself under control in the heat of the moment. It's not a series of techniques to get your kids to behave in the grocery store, because those are fleeting. You know what? It's a series of principles that can be applied no matter what age your kids are at, no matter what patterns you happen to be involved with your kids. It's principles like, you know what, if I'm not under control, then I can't be in charge. That's just a truth.
Yeah.
And so the book tells different scenarios of how to bring yourself under control.
You got a book signing coming up?
I'm in the Texas Book Festival this weekend,
oh,
so yes,
very cool.
in one of the authors' tents. I'm speaking in mid-morning, about 11 o'clock.
Hal, that's great. I think you're going to get a lot of feedback from this. I know that you have already.
And all your viewers can go to our website, screamfree.com, and download a free copy of the first chapter.
Oh, very good. Do you have like a blog on there too?
Oh, yeah, lots of stuff. Tons of free articles.
Hal, Screamfree Parenting.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being with us. Joe?